reality, my mentality. Everything changes so rapidly, and I'm ready for the never-ending fire. Dancing with my deepest, dark desires. Miracles, how empirical. Don't know anything quite hysterical. Everything around me transpires as I fulfill my darkest desire.
So it's 2021 now, and a couple days ago, the new Fazbear Frights book, Blackbird, book 6, was released on the 29th. Some people got it early, or it was available early where they live, but I just pre-ordered it, and I got it yesterday, right here. Blackbird right here. So today, I'm going to be doing a video on the summary and theories. This is something that Daco does with all the Fazbear Frights books, but I know he's not going to do his for a while. I don't think he even has the book yet, so I decided why not do my own version of it, and then him later on, when he gets the book, he can do his probably much better version of it. But still, I thought this was a good idea. But I asked you guys first just to make sure you guys were okay with it, and you guys said yeah, go for it. So yeah, I have all my notes right here, as you can see. There it is. Yep, there's quite a lot. So yeah, we're gonna start off with Noel and Sam. So they're sitting in their classroom trying to come up with an idea for their filming project. They're like in university. Noel is like manages to look cool and confident, but like Sam is wondering how. And it's also mentioned that Noel has a crush on this girl named Darla Stewart. So people are around them, like in different groups, talking about their ideas. Sam and Noel aren't really able to understand the things that they're saying, but some people were like getting excited about like really bad ideas, like kind of cliches, like serial killers, zombies, vampires, demons, stuff like that. So Sam and Noel, they don't have an idea for their project yet, but they were glad that they still had a chance because the other teams had pretty weird and bad ideas. It's also like mentioned a lot that Sam is really tall. He's like 6'5", and his legs are really long, like longer than they're supposed to be. And a lot of people make fun of him for that. He was bullied when he was younger. Sam believes that all his legs do is get in the way rather than be useful when they're like playing basketball or something like that. He doesn't really let them be useful. They just get in his way from his perspective. So, whoops. So 2 teams were getting ready to leave, and 4 teams were already leaving. So Sam sees this as a good thing because he works better in silence, which I think pretty much everybody does, except me. Sometimes I work better when I'm listening to music. I don't know how. But the classroom is open for another half hour, so they have half an hour to think of another idea. So Sam is like squirming around in his chair, and Noel is getting annoyed because Noel says it reminds him of his nephew when he needed to pee. So yeah, Noel has a nephew, which is kind of interesting. It's never brought up again, but I wonder if that has something to do with anything. Like the next story in the book is The Real Jake. The Real Jake, and pretty sure Jake has an uncle who's named Michael. And that's definitely supposed to be like Michael Afton because of the stuff I've heard about it. So yeah, Noel has a nephew, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, it was at this moment I was like, okay, so these guys are like at least teenagers or older, but it's clarified later that they're in college or university. Also, it's worth mentioning that Noel thinks about blood a lot. Like at the beginning of the story, like the first thing it says in the story, it needs to be bloody. So yeah, that's what Noel says. Yeah, he's really obsessed with blood. He's like, every horror story has to have blood. But Sam is like, no, the creep factor is the most important part. So Noel is 6'1", and his legs are normal length, unlike Sam. So Noel asks Sam if he remembers Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and Sam did. So yeah, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is like kind of important in the story. I mean, it's the reason that all this stuff happens. So Sam thought the animatronics were creepy, and like he was getting like weird feelings whenever he thought about them. but he didn't really want anybody to know about that. I don't know really why, but so yeah, that gave Noel an idea when he was thinking about Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and it gave him an idea. He thought, why not make a horror plot based on their own creepy animatronic that they've made up. So Sam thinks this is a great idea, and they want to base it off a bird, but not a chicken because number one, that's already taken, and number two, that's not really that creepy. Noel suggested a goose because like when he was a kid, he was attacked by one as a child, and he says he still has the scars from it. Okay, so Noel. Okay, so a girl named Amber on the other team, like there's one more team in the class with them. A girl named Amber on the other team yells out to Noel and Sam that they win the rotten egg prize. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm guessing they're like making fun of them or whatever. I mean, I guess because that team's full of like a bunch of like mean girls, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think one of them was supposed to be the nice one. By the way, Darla Stewart, Noel's crush, is on that team too. But yeah, we'll see how that goes later on. So Noel says that they're saving the best for last, and Amber laughs at him and calls him an idiot. Darla Stewart doesn't really say anything. She just sits there. So Sam says that Amber likes Noel. So yeah, that's really it. Okay, yeah. So Sam suggests that for the project they use a Blackbird. And then Noel starts to mention, like, guilt and stuff. So Sam thinks maybe the Blackbird animatronic could get you to confess your deepest, darkest secret and then punish you for your sins. So yeah. Later on, they decide that Sam would play the Blackbird and Noel would play the one with the sins. The guy named Floyd is the guy in the movie. Amber walks into the restaurant they were at and asks if she could sit down with them. She asked what the movie was about, what their movie was going to be about, and Noel was like, wouldn't you like to know? He was kind of like giving her attitude. And Amber was just like, I'm just trying to make conversation, okay? If she didn't know how to make conversation, then like, why is she sitting down with them? Because she likes Noel. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, Sam saw that Amber was like watching Noel because she likes him, obviously. She's like watching Noel, and Sam isn't really sure why Noel doesn't ask Amber out. But yeah, Sam wasn't sure why Noel didn't ask Amber out, because she was like cute, but not really Sam's type, but definitely Noel's type. They looked good sitting together, and sometimes they even wore like similar clothes. I guess. So Noel like tells Amber that their book is about a bird, and Amber's like, "Are you serious?" But then Sam and Noel, they're just like, "Okay, we need to go to get started." Yeah, and Sam thought Noel and Amber had true love. Honestly, it's really cute. It's kind of cute, yeah. So people make fun of Sam because Sam still lives with his parents instead of living in like a dorm or whatever. Because yeah, these guys are in university. That's when it's like clarified that they're in university. So he does it because like working on his projects was more fun than being a moron. Like drinking and being a moron. That's what it said. Sorry. So, and also because he wants to just get away from the school and stuff. And his house was like the perfect walking distance away. So Sam's dad helps him get like black feathers for the Blackbird costume because like his dad is like good at getting stuff. I don't remember exactly what happened, but yeah, his dad helps him get some black feathers for the Blackbird costume. So yeah, he starts working on the costume, but then he gets a phone call from Noel. So yeah, Noel calls Sam and says that Amber asked Noel out, and he said yes. And then Sam just gets like he's just like, thank God. So Noel asks how the costume was going, and Sam said it was going well. And so then later on, he basically finishes the costume. He puts the costume on and then looks in the mirror, and he gets scared of it by himself, even though he made it. He knew that he says like he knows the character in the movie Floyd would regret his dark secrets when he saw the Blackbird. So yeah, his mom helps him out in like making the smaller details like the feet and the bird claws and stuff. All he needed to do was add some blood and make Noel shut up about it. So it's now later on, they're looking at the costume, and one of them gets pale, cold, and shaky. It's not really clear which one it's talking about. I'm not really sure which one is the one that's getting cold and shaky and stuff. It's not really clarified. So the set was going to be a bedroom. FNaF 4, anybody? So he was like, Sam was like, okay, so we're thinking a bedroom for the set, right? And Noel says, nightmares, night terrors, cold sweats. This reminded me a lot of the intro to FNaF VR, when it says, at the end, when it just goes into the end, it was like, Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for accidental digital consciousness transference, real-world manifestations of digital characters, nightmares, night terrors, and night sweats. He says cold sweats here, but it's actually really similar, and I wonder if that has anything to do with it. So yeah, they start working on their set. It's a bedroom, and this reminds me a lot of FNaF 4, and like the nightmares. Some people think that FNaF 4 is just a dream. I never really did, but I do think it's possible. I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't really make much of a difference, but I'm thinking that this story might actually be paralleling what FNaF 4 is and trying to explain how FNaF 4 works and what really happened there. Yeah, whether FNaF 4 is a nightmare or not doesn't really make much of a difference to the lore, so it doesn't really matter. So Noel asks Sam what secrets the Blackbird could get out of him, and Sam like has a stack of magazines in his hand and he just drops it. So he's just like, oh, guilt much? But Sam was like, it's just a coincidence. I don't have any dark secrets. So yeah, considering the fact that he dropped the stuff in his hand, I think it's safe to say he does have some dark secrets. He's probably just lying. And I was at this moment, I was like, maybe that'll come back to bite him later. And it kind of did. You'll see what I mean in a bit. So Noel tells Sam his dark secret. It says that Noel, when he was around like 12, he was a bully, like a really ruthless bully. And I was thinking maybe this could connect back to the FNaF 4 bullies, especially considering the movie is taking place in like a bedroom, which is like FNaF 4's night gameplay. So I was like, okay, so this is like even more reinforcing the fact that this story is like a parallel to FNaF 4. So he gave a couple examples of how he put a dead mole in a fat girl's locker and threw burrs in a girl named Christine Wilbur's hair because her name was Will Burr. And he was like, okay, burrs. Here's some burrs. Throw them in her hair. So yeah, that was dumb. I mean, he's a dick. So yeah. Noel was really laughing a lot about it, and Sam kept saying that's not funny. So yeah, Sam says that when he was younger, he got bullied for being tall and having weirdly lengthened legs. So he gave Noel like a lecture about it, saying the jokes may be funny to him, but they're not funny to like the people receiving them. So then Noel makes fun of Sam again, saying that he looks like a totem pole or a wooden Indian statue, which is kind of rude. Sam said that was offensive and that they should just get the set done. So Sam is mad at Noel. Sam looks around the room and decides they were done because he didn't want to be with Noel anymore. He was upset. So yeah, Noel was sitting on the bed. So like he like fixes the bed because Noel messed it up. And then Noel like laughs at him, and Sam says, "See you tomorrow," and then he just leaves. Sam is mad. You can tell Sam is mad. So Noel comes home from his date that he had with Amber, because he had a date with Amber. He comes home from that date. Hold on, let me just make sure it's still recording. Yep. Okay, sorry about that. So Noel is like a part of a fraternity. He lives in a frat house. So when he returns home from his date with Amber, he's like moving his head to the beat of the music. He's just like There's like music downstairs, so he's moving his head to the beat of the music. And but Noel is only really a frat member because his dad and grandfather were part of it. So, but he didn't really think he was frat material. He just wanted to be cool and thought this was a good way. So he's walking through the hall, and a guy named Ian opens his door and asks Noel what time it was, and it's almost midnight. The music is like keeping Ian awake, and Noel says nothing keeps him awake, nothing keeps Noel awake, and he said that if Ian has trouble sleeping, then he must have a guilty conscience. He says that was a joke, but I'm not sure. I mean, the story's about guilt, so he's probably just referencing that. So, Ian goes to the bathroom, and Noel heads to his room, right? So now, the next day, Noel goes to the shooting studio at noon the next day so he can fix things with Sam, because because Sam was really mad the day before. He was pissed. So he lays down, but Sam isn't there, so he lays down on the bed and he waits for Sam, but then he falls asleep. It's like 2.5 hours later. Amber comes into the room, and I'm gonna read this part right now. Page 25. That's 70. Okay, page 25. When Noel discovered Sam wasn't in the studio yet, he stretched out on the bed to wait. 45 minutes later, he was still lying there. He closed his eyes and must have fallen asleep, because when Amber charged in the room, he was so startled that he almost fell out of the bed. "Did you hear?" "Huh?" He sat up. "Hear what?" He rubbed his face. "What time is it?" "It's 2:30. The news about Sam." "What news about Sam?" Amber hugged herself. "They think he might have been hit by a train." She brushed at her puffy eyes. "What?" "Apparently he made a costume for your movie, the one with black feathers, and they found feathers all over the tracks for like 2 miles, all over the place." Noel shot off the bed and asked, Is he okay? Amber shook her head. "That's the thing. They don't know. He's missing." "I've gotta go." Noel charged past Amber and tore out the film studies building. So yeah. Sam was hit by a train, probably, and he's now missing. So Noel leaves Amber to find out if he's okay. And people are trying to greet him, but he just ignores them. He focuses on getting to the tracks and find Sam and see if he's okay.